Right, well, Love and Marriage Huntsville TV star Martell Holt was recently arrested for domestic violence. The 42-year-old was booked into the Madison County Jail last night. Holt was charged with third-degree domestic violence and harassing communications. He was later released just after 7 last night.
It started like any other day, until it didn't. One moment, everything looked normal. The sun was out, people were going about their routines, and somewhere out there, Martell Holt was just living his life like millions of others. But in a matter of seconds, everything changed. A loud crash, twisted metal, panic in the air. And suddenly, a man who had already been through so much found himself in the fight of his life. News began spreading fast, not just locally, but across social media, across fan pages, across the entire reality TV community. The same people who once debated his choices, criticized his actions, or followed his drama were now united in one thing: fear. Fear that this could be the moment everything ends. Because, love him or hate him, Martell Holt has always been real. Flawed, complicated, controversial, but real. And now, as reports of a devastating accident continue to unfold, one question hangs heavy in the air. Will he survive this? To understand why this moment feels so heavy, you have to go back to where it all began. Martell Holt wasn't born into fame. He wasn't handed success. He came from humble beginnings in Huntsville, Alabama, a place where dreams don't always come easy, and every step forward feels earned. Growing up, Martell learned early what it meant to work hard, to push through challenges, and to build something out of nothing. Before the cameras, before the headlines, he was just a man trying to make a difference. He pursued education and became a teacher, standing in front of classrooms, guiding young students, shaping futures. That was his purpose back then, to inspire others, to be a role model. But somewhere along the way, that wasn't enough anymore. There was a bigger vision growing inside him, a desire for more success, more influence, more control over his future. So he made a bold move, one that changed everything. He stepped away from teaching and entered the world of real estate and entrepreneurship. And it worked. Martell quickly built a name for himself. He wasn't just another businessman. He was driven, ambitious, and determined to leave a legacy. Alongside his then-wife, Melody, they created what many saw as a power couple. Together, they built businesses, raised a family, and presented an image that looked almost perfect from the outside. And then came reality TV. Love and Marriage Huntsville didn't just introduce Martell to a wider audience, it exposed his life. Every success, every argument, every crack in the foundation was suddenly visible for the world to see. At first, fans admired him. He was confident, successful, and unapologetically himself. But admiration quickly turned to scrutiny, because behind the success, there were secrets. His marriage to Melody, once seen as strong and inspiring, began to unravel publicly. Rumors of infidelity turned into confirmed betrayal. The same man who had built a life with his wife was now facing the consequences of breaking that trust. And it wasn't quiet. It played out on screens, in interviews, on social media. Every argument felt louder. Every mistake felt bigger. Their divorce wasn't just personal, it was public, messy, and painful. Fans picked sides. Some stood with Melody, others tried to understand Martell. But no matter where people stood, one thing was clear: his image had changed. He wasn't just the ambitious entrepreneur anymore. He became the man who lost everything. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get more complicated, they did. Legal issues, allegations, tension that refused to fade. It felt like every time Martell tried to move forward, something pulled him right back into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons.
But here's the thing about Martell Holt. He never disappeared. No matter how intense the criticism got, no matter how heavy the judgment felt, he stayed visible. he kept showing up. Whether it was on social media, in interviews, or through his business ventures, he refused to completely fade into the background. And that's what makes this moment so different. Because this isn't about drama anymore. This isn't about headlines or opinions. This is about life and possibly death. The details of the accident are still coming together, but what we do know is enough to send chills down anyone's spine. It happened fast. Witnesses say the vehicle was moving at a high speed before everything went out of control. Some described it as sudden, almost like something unexpected caused the driver to lose control. Others said the car swerved sharply before slamming into a barrier with a force that echoed across the road. And then silence, the kind of silence that feels wrong. People nearby rushed toward the scene, unsure of what they were about to find, and what they saw was something they won't forget anytime soon. The car was barely recognizable, metal crushed inward, glass shattered everywhere, the front end completely destroyed. It didn't look like something anyone could walk away from. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but even they seemed tense. This wasn't a simple accident. This was serious, very serious. Martell had to be extracted from the vehicle. Think about that for a second. Not helped out, not assisted, extracted. That alone tells you how bad it was. Paramedics worked carefully, urgently, doing everything they could to stabilize him before rushing him to the hospital. There was no time to waste. Every second mattered. And as the sirens echoed through the streets, one reality started setting in. This might be a fight he can't control. At the hospital, things didn't get easier. Reports began to surface that Martell was in critical condition, unconscious, injuries that doctors were still trying to fully assess. Words like severe trauma and unstable started appearing in updates, and each one felt heavier than the last. For someone who had always been so outspoken, so present, so visible, the silence was terrifying. No posts, no statements, just uncertainty. And then came the images. Leaked photos, blurry, unsettling, hard to look at, showing him lying in a hospital bed, tubes, bruises, a stillness that didn't match the man people were used to seeing. It didn't feel real. Social media exploded, but not in the way it usually does when Martell's name trends. There were no arguments this time, no debates about who was right or wrong, no gossip, just prayers. Fans, critics, fellow cast members, even people who had openly disagreed with him in the past came together in a way nobody expected. Praying for Martell, stay strong, please pull through. The same internet that once judged him was now hoping for his survival. And maybe that's what makes this moment so powerful, because it strips everything else away.
The fame, the drama, the mistakes, all of it fades when someone's life is hanging in the balance. What nobody expected was how deeply this would hit the people closest to him, his children. That's where it gets real, because beyond the headlines, beyond the show, beyond the controversies, Martell is a father, and somewhere his kids are trying to understand how their dad went from being present one moment to fighting for his life the next. You can't prepare for something like that. You can't explain it in a way that makes it less painful. And then there's Melody. Yes, their relationship has been complicated. Yes, they've been through things most people couldn't imagine dealing with publicly. But moments like this have a way of changing perspective. Because when life becomes fragile, old arguments don't feel as important anymore. There's no official word on how she's responding behind the scenes, but fans have noticed subtle signs, supportive messages, a shift in tone, a sense that despite everything, there's still humanity there. Because at the end of the day, history doesn't disappear, and neither does compassion. As the hours turn into days, the tension continues to build. Doctors are monitoring him closely. Every update feels like it could change everything. People are watching, waiting, hoping for good news, but preparing for the possibility that it might not come. And that's the hardest part, the waiting, the not knowing. Because right now, Martell Holt isn't the man from reality TV. He's not the businessman. He's not the controversial figure people debated online. He's just a human being, fighting to stay alive. And it forces everyone to reflect on how quickly life can change, on how fragile everything really is, on how, in the end, none of us are untouchable.
This situation has already left a mark on his family, on his fans, on everyone who has followed his journey. It's a reminder that behind every headline is a real person, a real story, a real life that can shift in an instant. Because one moment you're driving down a road, and the next, everything goes dark. As we come to the end of this story, there's still no clear answer about what happens next. And maybe that's what makes it so emotional. We don't have a perfect ending to hold on to. We don't have a moment of relief, at least not yet. All we have is hope. Hope that he wakes up. Hope that his body finds the strength to heal. Hope that this isn't where his story ends. Because whether you've supported Martell Holt from the beginning or questioned every move he's made, this moment goes beyond all of that. This is about life. This is about second chances. This is about a man who has faced storms before, but is now facing the biggest one yet. And maybe, just maybe, this could be the turning point nobody saw coming. Because if he makes it through this, everything changes. The way people see him, the way he sees himself, the way his story is told moving forward. But for now, the world waits, watching, praying, hoping. And somewhere in a hospital room, surrounded by machines and quiet determination, Martell Holt is fighting for another day, fighting for his family, fighting for a chance to rewrite the ending. Let's just hope he gets it.